join me on a lovely September morning, and I've got a wee bit of an interesting video log today. Not good interesting, but good, but interesting at long last. Since the last video log that I did was after 18 months, and we're now coming up to 23 months of ownership, and we do have a problem with the car. As you know, last April I took the car in to have the oil gauge sorted. Got it back. The oil gauge was going straight up to the top as soon as you turned the key in. So spoke to Mulsanne Motors. Wasn't a great issue, and I thought I would hold off till possibly maybe the summer. But the car's been going fine. Had no reason to actually go back. What I've noticed recently is on the oil pressure light 1, when I depress the brake pedal, it flashes, the red light flashes on and off and then clears again. So again, spoke to Mulsanne Motors, and we checked if there's any problems with the sponginess of the brakes. The brakes were fine, so the idea was I was just going to hold off until probably nearer my MOT time, which was October, and just get everything sorted at once. But we had a catastrophic failure the other day. What actually happened was, over the last couple of times I've ridden the car, I noticed the back rear suspension had started to bounce about and shudder slightly. So I had actually booked it in for a service and look at that for a week on Thursday. But the other night when I came home, when I was going over these sleeping policemen, not real sleeping policemen, but the bumps in the road to slow you down, I noticed there was a sort of scraping coming. So anyway, I had an investigation as to what was causing that, and I'll just show you. Not good, but do you see that rod hanging down there? And there's not one there. Now that looks as though it's coming actually from the suspension strut. So and it's only getting maybe about 4 inches clearance, so basically the car's undrivable. So we do have an issue with the car, and I'm glad to a certain extent, because it just shows they're not infallible. I think to have the car after 2 years and have minimal servicing and repairs on it was great, but maybe more realistically we're going to have to look at now as to some of the money that's going to have to be spent in the car. So I've phoned the breakdown people. They'll come and collect the car today. They'll bring it over to Mulsanne Motors, and hopefully they'll have a look at it and let me know what the damage is. So really there's four things there's four things which I want done to it. I need the oil pressure gauge sorted, I need the brake light, I need the brake light issue sorted, I obviously need the suspension sorted, and MOT is actually due just over a month's time. So although it's not a requirement, it's always nice to get an MOT for a car like that. And yeah, that's the four things. At the end of my last video, you've probably seen I put the car, you've seen the car is up for sale, and in the previous video I toyed with, do I sell it, am I not selling it? I've got another project in mind, and won't say much about that now, but that involves selling that car first of all. So yeah, 2 years of ownership has been great. At times to move on. The only big problem that I've got with the car is that it is precious. It goes off the road in October and I won't get it out till March. I'll lose it for the best part of 5 months, which is rather frustrating here. So that's one of the main reasons. And also, these things are a bit of a legacy. You own them for some time, you look after them and you pass them on to the next person. So I've had a number of inquiries about it, so we'll see how that goes. But the main thing at the moment is to get it picked up, get it taken over to Mulsanne Motors, and get these issues sorted. So I'll keep you posted on that, okay? Well, we're now back up and running, I'm glad to say. I've got the car back from Mulsanne Motors, and I'm currently heading back to my depot in Kilmarnock, because We are now in sunny October in Scotland, and it's now at the stage where I would tend to put the car away for the winter, keep it off the road with the salt, etc. So that's the plan. Yeah, a couple of things. When you do a video log on the cost of ownership of a Silver Shadow, the problem is that when you don't have any cost of ownership, or it's very, 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 very small, a video log becomes a bit irrelevant. So you saw previously there that there was some damage to the bottom of the car, and I'll tell you a bit about that in a minute. But on one hand, I'm not glad because it's cost me money to get it sorted, but I am glad because it gives me some content in a video log to tell you about, what I'm here to do is to tell you about the costs, the advantages, disadvantages of running a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow. So it's a bit like one of these healthcare policies. You pay it, but you don't really want to use it. And in this instance, I've got a video log page. I want to tell you about the costs of running a Silver Shadow. I really don't want to pay them. But as you know, with a car over 40 years old, yeah, you do run into these things from time to time, and that's where we've obviously got today. So I'll bring you up to date on where we are on that, or where Mulsanne Motors were on that. So firstly, the rear shock absorber retaining flange had broken and has now been welded on. What you actually saw in the picture was what happened when the flange broke and the spigot came down, or the part of the suspension came down. I noticed it more because we have quite a number of impediments in the road to slow you down, the sleeping policemen, and I noticed when I was going over them at any speed over 20 miles an hour, I could hear this grating, and what it was that part of the suspension rubbing against the ground. Fortunately, I didn't damage it, which was good, and it meant that it only had to be the flange that was replaced. Had I done serious damage to it or left it for any length of time, I probably would have damaged it and it cost myself more money, but fortunately that didn't happen, so we're okay in that point, and we're now fully functioning on the Silver Shadow as far as the suspension went. I think I did say, you noticed that over a period of time the suspension in the back got very wallowy, very springy, spongy before it went. Probably if Mulsanne Motors had been nearer to my own house, it's currently about 50 odd miles away, I would have taken it in sooner and it wouldn't have got to the stage where it eventually did. But fortunately, no long-term harm done, and problem sorted. So the second issue that I had was the one brake pressure light was coming on when I was basically using the brake. Brake seemed to be working fine, and but the light was coming on momentarily every time I braked. So that was something which Mulsanne Motors had to look at. So they found a problem in the pressure accumulator sphere. You know, being a detailed Rolls-Royce technician, that means a lot to me. They reckoned that the pressure system was low and it was unable to be regulated. So what that involved was they had to replace the accumulator and the valve body assembly, and hey presto, we are fine. No problem now in the brake pressure light. I also got the car MOT'd, which wasn't due until later this month in October, but I thought while I had the car over there I may as well do that. So it's now got a fresh MOT. Car is now done 43,771 miles. About 1,000 miles for every year of its existence. So there you go. The other problem that I had was, if you remember, I had said to you, and this happened not long after I took the car out of its winter hibernation back in spring, but The oil pressure light was moving to high even without the engine on as soon as you turned on the electrical functions. So I think I had said before, Ross at Mulsanne Motors replaced it, but it still wasn't functioning properly. It wasn't an issue because it was something to do with just how it was monitoring it, not particularly a problem with the oil pressure itself. So I was going to hold off until the car was in for its MOT. So I took the opportunity, obviously this time when the car was over at Mulsanne Motors, to get that looked at. So what's required there is an oil pressure transducer, and that's now in back order. So at the moment, as you can see, I take it Ross must have disconnected the existing unit because I'm getting no reading at all in the oil pressure gauge, so that's waiting for that part to come. So if Ross lets me know in the next few weeks or the next month, probably quite happy to drive it over there. He says it's not a big job to fit it, so I'd maybe like to get that done. The car is up for sale. I've got another project in mind, and I've decided to, I've had the car 2 years, haven't spent really an awful lot of money on it at all. The bill for the work which Mulsanne Motors did there, including the MOT, including the brake item, and including the suspension, came to £900. So I can't remember what the last one was, but we're probably near about a couple of £1,000, just maybe over a couple of £1,000 over a 24-month ownership of the vehicle, which, you know, it's not horrendous. If you're seriously thinking of buying a Silver Shadow and somebody tells you you're going to be paying a couple of grand over 2 years, I don't think that would have put me off. Had you told me it was 10,000 or 15,000, I would have been worried, and that was one of the reasons why I did the video. But you know, hey ho, you know, 2,000, 2,500, that's not a lot of money to keep a car like this on the road. So really pleased. But as I said, I'm going to put the car up. The car has been up for sale for the best part of, I think, about 11 months now. I'm really surprised that there has been very little interest in it. I'm not really going to I'll show you the advert. The advert will come up now. If I can't sell it for that, I'm happy to keep it. I'm certainly not going to sell it for a ridiculous price just to get rid of the car. So we'll see, hopefully, what happens over the winter. I've had a couple of genuine inquiries, nothing that's came through. Nobody's actually came to see the car yet. So there is a lot of Silver Shadows out there, but I go back to what I said earlier on, pay for what you get. A bargain, 15, 20,000. If you're a mechanic, great. If you're not a mechanic, well, that's the route I took, obviously. So we'll see where that takes us in due course. So at the moment, as I said, we're heading over to my Kilmarnock depot, which is about 20 miles southwest of my Glasgow headquarters, and we're going to put the car away in the bubble today and get it ready for winter. I won't have its final preparation in the bubble because I've still to connect the trickle charger, which I'll come back and do that, but at least at the moment I'll get it in, out the bad weather, and in out the rain, in out the snow, in out the sleet, in out the wind, so in out the cold as well. So we'll do that today, and we'll leave it there. As I said, maybe take it out to Mulsanne Motors if I've got this oil pressure piece of equipment, to take it back and get that sorted out if that happens soon. What I've actually done there, I've connected up the power supply to the fan, and we'll start the circulation. I won't bother charging the battery at the moment because it's probably fully charged. I'll come back and I'll put an extension running from here down there just to keep the battery fully charged during its isolation period. So let's say goodbye to the, no, not goodbye. Well, that's it until it's sold, maybe, or until I dig it out next March time.